In today's video, I want to share some things I recently found at an antique show. There's a flea market near us that a couple of times a year they do shows where they bring in 800 plus vendors. You can find all kinds of things from artwork to old signage to custom built furniture to books. Hey there, this is Phantom Charm Studios. We are an Etsy shop selling digital downloads, clip art, pattern papers, and we just started adding junk journaling kits. My name is Tammy. I'm a longtime paper crafter, scrapbooker, and card maker, and more recently became obsessed with junk journals. This is the second video for our brand new YouTube channel. When we attended the show in January, I had a mission to find unique items for my junk journaling. I scoured a lot of books and did find a few things. I wanted to share my finds because you'll be seeing them in future videos as I start to share projects. Anytime you can find old books with pictures or illustrations for a good price, buy it. This book isn't in the best shape, but I'm going to be taking the pages out of the book so it doesn't matter. If you didn't want to dismantle the book, you could use it as is. Tear out the majority of the pages with the help of a ruler and add in pretty papers of your own. I want to use the book pages in my signatures, so I need to take it apart, but I'll be using the cover and the spine at some point as well. This book is called Wild Animals of North America. And I love that there's a combination of both text and these cool animal illustrations in this book. I think it's great that some of the pictures are small and take up half of the page, and some of them are a full page size. That way I can use them in different ways in signatures. There are both color and black and white illustrations as well. Unfortunately, some of the illustrations show animals hunting, so I won't be using those pictures. There are plenty of pages with text only, so I'll be able to use those pages in collages and layer them with other embellishments. There are lots of projects to make with just book pages, so this one will give me plenty of material. Whenever I go to these kinds of shows, I'm always on the hunt for books like this, and I can't wait to start using this one. We found this really cool Wizard of Oz children's book. It's not in the best shape. There was a price tag on it at some point, and when the price tag was removed, part of the cover went with it. We've been talking about creating our own downloads for our Etsy shop with a Wizard of Oz theme. The original book and illustrations are part of the public domain, so we can use them without any copyright issues. Would anyone be interested in a Wizard of Oz journal kit or fussy cuts? We'd probably do clip art and pattern paper as well, so I'm adding that to my very long list of things to create. This particular book is not in the public domain, but I can still make a cool junk journal with this book for my personal use. Some of the pages are bent, but that's the charm of finding these kinds of vintage books. This is Harley, by the way. She's my calico and wants to be involved with whatever I'm doing. I try to keep her off the desk when I'm filming, but she's got a mind of her own. She frequently makes appearances in my videos. Back to the book, the illustrations have an interactive element that kind of move back and forth, and the illustrations are super sweet. You can always pick up illustrated children's books at the Dollar Tree for a small price point to add to your journals, but there's something really cool about finding a vintage book like this. I have no idea how many little hands have moved these pages over the years, but I'm glad I have it now and that I'll be able to create a one of a kind journal with a fun theme. I'm always looking for tickets of any kind, and I usually get lucky when I come across anything that has to do with trains. We usually find a vendor with railroad books and ephemera at these shows, and this time around, I picked up these three books. Harley's back. She knows she's not getting my attention when the studio lights are on, but she's still going to try. This says it's a time book. I was born in 1973, so I wanted this one. This one is blank and still in great condition. No writing or anything, but there are text pages and charts and cool tables in this booklet. I will use these pages both for signatures and for adding to a journal to collage over or add pockets to. I love the vintage feel, and grid backgrounds are always fun to work with. They make great backgrounds for mixed media as well. I will take the book apart and add these pages to the stack I pull out when I make my signatures. I just find the center of the book and pull out the full pages. This one is just stapled in the middle, so it will be easy to get the pages out. And once I get it all apart, every part of this book will get used in journals somehow. This next book is instructions for brake and train air signals. The date on this is August 14th, 1944. I wanted this one immediately because tucked inside are several ephemera pieces. This one talks about a POTUS special train. So the president must have been coming through on a train and they were plotting the train's path and planning when to move junctions. I love the handwriting and the vintage fonts across the top for the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Company. There are a couple of other papers like this one, but the paper is really thin, so I don't want to handle them too much. Inside one of the first pages in this book, someone used an office stamp to capture some information: name, occupation, dates, and they are filled in with inked signatures. It's fun to see these vintage stamps. A reminder to myself that I have a ton of stamps in my stash and I probably don't use them enough. I definitely want to use that page in a journal somehow. This is a technical booklet and not particularly interesting if you're not into trains, but this will give me some cool text pages. I like the smaller size, and it looks like this one is also stapled in the center, so it will be easy to remove the pages from the book intact. This one has some handwriting on some of the pages. Some of the words were crossed out, so you know this booklet was actually used by someone back in the day. You can never go wrong with books like this. The pages are great for signatures, collages, and making embellishments. They are also a good size for wallpapering into folios and using for pockets. In the back of this book are these really cool diagrams: pipes for locomotives. Very cool. These will be fun to work into journals as flip pages and pullouts. And there are several in the back here, so these will make it into a variety of projects. This is another time book, this one for engineers and firemen, dating back to the 1940s. This one is filled in. There's handwriting and names and dates. When I use these pages in journals, I like to make pockets or tags with some of the pages so that all of the writing doesn't get covered up. It is a time book, so they were logging in when they went on duty, when they clocked out, what kinds of trains came through. I guess they used the different number tables to calculate the earnings for their shift. And tucked into a couple of the pages are different tickets. The paper is really thin, so I don't want to handle it too much. A basket of groceries. Saturday, November 29th, 1917. There's a little notepad here with pages and writing, and there are some more tickets in the back. Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers, October 1918. Tickets to the annual dinner dance floor show. Perfect for slipping into tuck spots in a journal. I don't want to lose these, so I'm going to tuck these back into this booklet. From that same booth, I found this folder filled with stock certificates. This first one is for the Erie and Ohio Railroad. I'm sure they're worthless now, but I love the fonts and how this document was printed. This one is for the Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Chicago, and Illinois Railroad Company, and it's a bond series. This is in pristine condition, and on the sides are tickets you can pull off. I have no idea what I'm going to do with these, but the right idea will come along eventually. I also picked up a dictionary. I've been looking for another one for a while. This one was printed in 2002, So it's not exactly vintage, but the pages are a little weathered and aged, so this will do. With dictionaries, I tend to rip out the pages when I need them. I'm not going to remove all of the pages because this book is pretty big. I do have a separate bin that I keep my loose dictionary pages in, mostly because I just embellish with them and use them for mixed media techniques, not for signatures. So these are my finds from the recent antique show. If you ever have a chance to go to one of these shows, I hope this gives you some ideas for things to look for. I have a few things to share from my personal stash. I was going through an old box in the garage and I found this huge road atlas from 2003. I used to travel a lot for one of my prior jobs, and I must have picked this up on one of my trips. I totally forgot I had this. Now that I'm junk journaling, I love to stumble across things in the house that will be perfect to take apart and add to journals. We don't use paper maps all that much anymore, and I haven't for years. Of course, they are great for vacation journals. If I were to go to New Orleans, I could tear this out and add it to a pocket or even make a pocket with it. Big, giant pages like this are great to fold and create pocket pages with. I love to add bits of maps into collages and embellishments. It doesn't even have to relate to what you're using your journal for, it's just a fun, colorful element to add. So, anytime you find maps or an atlas like this, snap it up. One of these days, we may not see printed maps anymore. The History of Art. This was one of my college textbooks from one of my most favorite classes. I've been holding on to this since the mid 90s. I loved it so much, I couldn't bear to sell it at the used bookstore. So I've carried it around with me from state to state as I've moved around. I'm really happy I've kept it all of these years because I can start removing pages and use them in my journals. Again, the bigger size means that I can fold the pages and make pockets. If I ever make it back to Paris, how fun to come to this book and find pictures of a place we toured or some art that we saw at the Louvre and add it to my travel journal. Lots of images and diagrams in this book, so just another type of book to keep an eye out for if you're antique hunting. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. We are a brand new channel, and every interaction you make will help my video reach more crafters. Next up, I have a fun altered composition notebook turned into storage. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss a thing. See you in the next video.